So finasteride is the 91st most prescribed drug in the world, and it's not hard for you to go online and see mass hysteria about what the potential side effects are of this commonly used hair loss drug. But without all the hysteria, what are the actual facts? What's the data about the potential side effect profile of this hair loss drug? Well, if you haven't already read up on this sort of stuff and you're about to start finasteride, or you're already on finasteride, you haven't been given a good enough rundown around what the potential side effects are, and you want to cut between what's hype and what's hysteria and what's fact, well, this is a great video for you to watch and ingest. Alright, so if we haven't already connected, I'm Dr. Jonathan Hopkirk, a Sydney-based hair loss doctor, and I was formerly the chief of medicine of one of the largest cosmetic clinic chains in the world. So I had a lot to do with some of the biggest pharma companies in the world. So I know a thing or two about the pharma world. But also, I'm someone who's gone through a hair loss journey myself over the last 10 years and have experienced the highs and lows of medications and all sorts of various treatments, which is why I like to do these videos to give you the best understanding around how you can increase the chances of success whilst lowering the chances of poor outcomes. However, this is not a substitute for medical guidance. You should always seek the counsel of your health professional to get personalized advice which is unique to you. And if you would like to get your hands on our medical board's free hair loss ebook with over 75 years of experience packed into it, or you would like to get $300 off this Crow laser cap, simply watch through to the end of the video and follow the prompts. Alright, that being said, let's get into today's video. So if you're not already familiar with finasteride, it is one of the most commonly used hair loss drugs in the world. It descended from being originally used as a drug that was used to shrink the prostate in men who had an enlarged prostate condition called BPH, or benign prostatic hyperplasia. Now, how it works is it targets the 5-alpha reductase inhibitor, which is the enzyme which converts testosterone into DHT. Now, DHT in predisposed men is the thing that shrinks the hair follicle. So this is what is called the miniaturization process. And by shrinking the hair follicle, essentially the follicle is destined to produce finer and finer hairs, and in time produce no hair at all once those follicles become completely dormant. So finasteride was found originally in those men who were treated for prostate issues to restore hair in these older gentlemen who were taking the larger dose. So it got FDA approval in the late 90s to then be used as an androgenetic alopecia drug. As I said, this is the 91st most prescribed drug in the world, and it is for the most common hair loss condition in the world, androgenetic alopecia. So you can appreciate a lot of people take it. So now we have a brief understanding around what this drug is. If you'd like to learn more about what this drug is, you can watch some of my previous videos in the finasteride playlist. But now let's dig through the data and unveil what some of those side effects are of finasteride. Sexual side effects, so things like ejaculation issues, libido, sexual performance issues, so erectile dysfunction. These are things that can occur on finasteride. But what is the incidence? Well, in this PRISMA meta-analysis study that looked at either men taking 0.5 milligram of dutasteride or 1 milligram of finasteride, they assessed the sexual side effects, and what they found that of the 1,882 men taking 1 milligram of finasteride orally every day, 5.31% of them experienced sexual side effects versus just over 3% in the placebo group. For specific adverse effects, there was a 1.99-fold increase in erectile dysfunction, and the incidence of decreased libido and difficulty with ejaculation did trend higher, although they weren't statistically significant when compared to placebo. So I'd say for those taking oral finasteride 1 milligram every day, 5% seems to be a fairly accurate representation of those who may experience sexual side effects. Moving on to the next one, so depression and suicidality. So in May 2025, the EMA Safety Committee confirmed suicidal ideation as a side effect of finasteride 1 milligram and 5 milligram, and it prompted a black box warning in some countries. So whilst it is not a common side effect and the data yet cannot put a statistic on exactly how many people might experience changes in mood, depression, anxiety, and in some instances really suicidality, this is still something that you need to consider with, which is why if someone was to ever go on something like finasteride, it's incredibly important that they're screened by the health professional first to make sure that the health professional understands whether or not this person's psychological profile previously is going to be something that might actually preclude them from taking a drug or using a drug like finasteride. In addition to this, there's also a rare incidence of something called post-finasteride syndrome, which is where such symptoms like these, or erectile dysfunction, libido loss, changes in ejaculation abilities, these things can change for a long period of time even after having stopped the finasteride. This is something that I experienced myself for close to about a year after having stopped the oral finasteride. It's rare, very rare, but it is something that can occur. There are more and more cases of this popping up around the world as this drug is taken more commonly. So even though post-finasteride syndrome is incredibly rare, it is something also to be informed about. If you want to check out my video on my personal post-finasteride syndrome experience and post-finasteride syndrome, you can check this here. About the next one, orthostatic hypertension and blood pressure issues. Well, finasteride has been said to be associated with a 9% increase in hypertension in those taking finasteride as a monotherapy. However, in those that take finasteride with other drugs, potentially like alpha blockers, there is said to be an increased incidence of hypotension by about 18%. What happens here is this is when people go to get out of their chair, they can feel off, they can feel lightheaded, they can feel like they're about to fall over because their blood pressure drops through their boots. So we know that finasteride can, in about 1 in 10 people, cause this potential side effect. So again, if you have blood pressure issues at baseline, particularly low blood pressure issues, then this is something to address with your health professional. What about fertility and semen parameters? If you are a healthy man taking 1 milligram of finasteride every day, the largest body of data actually suggests that you don't typically have an impact on your semen parameters, although there are a rare number of people, said to be about 5% of people, that can have a hypersensitivity to finasteride and its effects on semen, in which sperm count can drop to less than 10% of their baseline. However, this does typically rebound after stopping the drug and will rebound over a period of about 6 to 12 months. It's important to note, however, that those experiencing fertility issues caused by finasteride is incredibly rare. In this study, where 4,400 men who presented to a fertility clinic over a 4-year period, only actually 0.6% of them were taking finasteride. And there was an 11.6-fold increase in the gentleman's sperm count once they ceased finasteride. Hormone parameters, sperm motility, sperm morphology were unchanged after ceasing the drug. So what do we take from this? Well, if you are looking to family plan and you've never checked your sperm, well, it could be something to address with your physician either before you start taking finasteride, because 50% of infertility in the world now exists in males. So it's important to have a good understanding around what your baseline might be. Now, odds are you're probably not going to have any issues, but if you did have some fertility issues, or you did have some morphology or some sperm count issues, and then you were going to go on something which could potentially change these parameters, you would want to know so before going on the drug. So I think knowledge is power. It's a very good thing to be able to be on top of this. If you can have an opportunity to understand it before going on finasteride, was a good thing to address with your physician. If you want to learn more about my personal experience with this, you can check out this video here. Gynecomastia, so the development of breast tissue. This is an incredibly rare side effect. It's said that only 0.1% of men experience gynecomastia whilst taking finasteride orally. I have done a video on this previously, which you can watch up here. But essentially what happens is that when you block 5-alpha reductase, the enzyme, instead of testosterone being converted into DHT, that testosterone then builds up. You can get an increase of about 13 to sometimes 30% of testosterone circulating in the system. Now, that free testosterone can get converted down the aromatase pathway into things like estrogen. So that's when you have increased amount of estrogen in the blood, then that can lead to the development of glandular tissue in the breast. Now, it's important for you to address this with your doctor. Reason being is, odds are, if it's a side effect of the drug, they're going to get you to stop the drug. The situation is, however, if you don't reverse it over a period of time, i.e. more than a year, it could harden that tissue, which could mean that you might need to have intervention to remove the tissue. Also, there is rare instances in which men can get breast cancer, and breast tissue development and tenderness in the breast could be actually a sign of something more sinister. So it's always important, if you have derangements like this, to go and seek the counsel of your doctor. Albeit this is an incredibly rare side effect of the drug. Another rare side effect is testicular pain. Now, it's not common for this to occur. It's not known exactly in the data how many people experience it. It typically happens with only a short period of time after starting it. Sometimes it abates after taking it for a little bit longer. Usually mean if they persist, we'll find that the problem goes away. However, just as I mentioned with gynecomastia, there are reasons that testicular pain can present other medical reasons that would warrant you to get this investigated. So, as always, I would seek the counsel of your doctor to rule out other things like testicular cancer, for instance. There are a range of other things that aren't cancer that can lead to testicles hurting. Could also be the finasteride. But if you do get testicular pain, I would strongly urge you to see your doctor. The last one I will dig into today is prostate cancer and PSA levels. So as we know, as finasteride can shrink the prostate, it can also have an impact on certain detection methods that we use as doctors to discern whether or not someone has potentially got a prostate cancer. Now what that particular measurement is doctors will measure your blood to see if you have increased levels of PSA. The interesting thing about finasteride, it actually decreases levels of PSA in the blood. Now it's known that dutasteride can decrease levels by about 50%, and so therefore doctors would be urged to double the number of PSA on blood measurements to account for that lowering effect of dutasteride. But what about 1 milligram of finasteride? Well, in this study, men taking 1 milligram of finasteride over a 48-week period, there was a group of 40 to 49-year-old males and a group of 50 to 60-year-old males. What did they find with respect to the PSA measurements over this time? Well, they found that in the group age 40 to 49, that there was a reduction of their PSA levels by 40% over this time period, whilst those in the group from 50 to 60 had a reduction of 50% of their PSA levels. So again, it is typically advised of doctors measuring PSA levels that if the male is on 1 milligram of finasteride, that they are told to double the PSA levels. Or if they were really worried and they wanted to get a more accurate reading, they could cease the drug altogether for a period of a few months to get a better and more accurate representation of exactly what those levels were. Again, that would be something to discuss with your doctor. Now, as far as prostate cancer goes, this is an incredibly fascinating scenario with respect to finasteride, which is what I'm going to jump into my next video, because there's a bit to it and it's fascinating. So I'd love to geek out with you on this particular phenomenon and this so-called side effect or positive effect. Hope you've enjoyed today's video. If you have any questions about it, please drop them in the comment section. If you'd like to get your hands on our medical boards ebook, simply email me at jonathan@levelsofview.com. And if you'd like to get $300 off this Grow Laser Cap, which I personally used myself for 16 months and I've had no financial arrangement with the company other than giving you a discount, then again, hit me at jonathan@levelsofview.com. I hope you've enjoyed the video. Look forward to seeing you next week. Cheers.